This is a country that is fighting a war on three fronts. The first battle is a military one against Russian-led and Russian-supplied forces in the east. It's being fought with tanks, artillery, and rocket launchers that are sent from Russia. As a result of this Russian-manufactured war, more than 6,000 people are dead. Over 1 million people have fled the violence and need to be fed, housed, given jobs, and integrated into new communities. The second is a war for the truth, a fight against the lies and misrepresentations that are coming from the Kremlin. Moscow's propaganda machine drowns the truth with made-up tales of death, torture, and fascism. Russia's goal is to confuse, demoralize, and distract not only Ukraine from the important reform project that is underway, but Europe and the United States as well. By doing so, the Kremlin hopes to prevent the people of Ukraine from living the life they choose, with the government they choose, and to build the European state they want. The third is a war to modernize Ukraine's political system and economy, to root out corruption. I use the war imagery in this instance deliberately to underscore the seriousness of the challenges ahead. As I have said on many occasions, corruption, business as usual, are as much a threat to Ukraine today as Russian tanks.
And what's unique about civil society in Ukraine is that it doesn't only play the role of a watchdog and monitoring, it is also a driver for change. And I think the umbrella organization, the reanimation package for reform, is something quite unique. It gathers about 300 experts, lawyers, journalists, together with 70 NGOs. They discuss, draft laws, they present them, lobby for them, and also monitor the implementation. And about 30 of the most important laws we have seen throughout the last year has been integrated by the reanimation package of reform.
People ask me to explain what the European Union is all about. I am puzzled because it would require a very long seminar, but I know one thing that I can immediately answer. This is a combined knowledge how to deal with crisis.
We're trying to take a holistic review of our tax policy, aside from what we've done to date on a marginal basis, marginal incremental changes, to look whether or not there's a way to radically change our tax policy for the year starting January 1st, 2016, inspire business with simplicity, eliminate corruption with simplicity, encourage fairness, and encourage, again, the shadow economy to participate again because it's so radically, hopefully, fair, clean, transparent, and different.
Of course, it is possible, not possible, it is inevitable that there will be mistakes. But in comparison with alternative, it will be still much, much better. I am deeply convinced that Ukraine now can choose only from two possibilities: risky reforms, radical and risky reforms, or hopeless changes.
Let's be serious, the situation now in Ukraine is a lot more difficult than in any country in our region for many, many years, and probably one of the most difficult in any country in the world now.
For me, Ukraine is very much about the future of Europe. So what happens in Ukraine and what comes out of this conflict that we are seeing now, what the outcome of that will be of incredible importance for the future of Europe.
I apologize in advance. I'm going to be speaking at a relatively high level of abstraction. The title for this event is Ukraine Going to Europe? And I think that's a mistitle. I think the question is Ukraine going towards the future? The notion of Ukraine going to Europe as opposed to Ukraine going to Russia is one more example of a rather naive West accepting the Kremlin terms of the current crisis. Because the values that are driving Ukraine right now the values that drove the Euromaidan are values that are necessary for societies to succeed in the next 20, 30, 100 years. This is not an issue of Russian versus European values. This is an issue of values that will nurture a society that will develop a modern economy and provide a good life for its citizens.
First of all, yes, it is important to have clear definitions and to understand our enemy. There are three different kinds of corruption: petty corruption, grand political corruption, and administrative corruption. In Ukraine, we have all three of these kinds of corruption, but the most dangerous is grand political corruption.
We should be focusing on a new equilibrium, new beginning. We should be talking about forgiveness, and we should not be dividing people in bad and good and look for retrospective fairness, but instead of we should try to think that from today onwards, certain types of behavior are not acceptable, regardless of where you were during the Maidan or what you have been doing before.
Правительство, в принципе, работает очень активно вместе с парламентом. По предварительным данным, парламент проголосовал за этот короткий срок беспрецедентное количество законов. В принципе, есть уже первые результаты, я бы сказал. Я ездил сейчас немало время провел и в Вашингтоне, в Париже, и в других местах Западной Европы. Реалистично скажу, что наши западные партнеры видят отличие этого парламента, отличие этого правительства от тех, кто были до этого, и видят первоначальные результаты. Сразу расскажу про некоторые моменты, которых упомянула госпожа Кужель. Банки. Конечно, прошлый год 33 банка закрылось, в этом году уже 10 закрылось. Это большущая проблема. Но это скопление экономических проблем прошлых годов.
I want to make 5 very brief points. The first is that because of the legacy you have, Ukraine actually has huge potential in terms of energy efficiency. Because today, Ukraine's energy intensity is about 3 times of the average of EU 28 countries, about 3.7 times of Germany. So clearly, there's huge potential there.
Top-ranked managers at companies like EDF, like Eni, like Gaz de France, like and many more, apart from officials, and all of them are strangely very positive about Ukraine. They, most of Europeans, they know our infrastructure very well. They know that we have great potential, great reserves in all directions, in oil, in gas, in coal, uranium, which we extract also here in Ukraine and produce nuclear power. They know our capacities in terms of generation also very well.
The government has started the budget decentralization process, and we already know that the local budgets have significant surplus as a result of the first quarter results, and this money should be going for the restoration of the local roads. In terms of the highways, the state-owned highways, the way to go is the concession projects and the toll roads.
I think the money will come if engagement of private sector is secured, either in the form of privatizations or in the form of public-private partnership.
It shows that at this moment, opening European Union market for new products is crucial for agribusiness.
I think it's a bold step, and it's a step in the right direction. You have to realize that it's a major step. In some sense, you're going from a situation where you have both worlds. You're already partially benefiting from being open to the European Union. You still have the benefit of the Eastern market, and you will probably go through a major reorientation. The good experience from Central Europe is that it can be done very fast.
No matter how much they try, the situation is really difficult, and there are these imbalances which have been accumulating through the recent years and which are now unraveling. So the country needs a lot of international assistance. The strengths and the magnitude of the exogenous shocks that the country is facing, they call for the support by the international actors, economic but also political, unequivocal political assistance.